Hey, welcome to All About the Alternative, and I'm getting started again with another live. Hopefully, this one works out. I've had some lives that as I got started on them, who knows why I had so many views and I had so many likes and everything, and I don't know how it happened. So hopefully, everything works out this time. Anyway, so what we've got here is basically a course that I was looking at many years. Like it's probably been, I don't know. I actually started probably looking at it a number of years prior to this, but I actually went up with all the material for this actually about 5 years ago, and it's basically all about humanities, behavioral. It's basically that is basically what it is. It's behavioral sciences, social studies, and humanities all rolled up into one, and it looks at a lot of different things. So it looks into psychology, it looks into anthropology, it looks into philanthropy, theology, um, culture and religion studies, relationships, and a little bit about government and how it works and everything. So I thought if I kick this off the way I'm doing it here today, we can discuss a lot of stuff that as I go along, I'll pause where I can to answer anything or discuss anything. I'm not an expert here. I have no interest in going into being any kind of religious scholar or anything. This was just something that I had got into. And it angered me. I don't want to say angered, but I guess angered me about a lot of things that were being said from some of the other creators on here. And while my policy is not to name names, some things that they have said, some things that they have remarked on, it's especially a part to do with religion. And, and I will give my own background is actually I am my Jewish in my background, but we'll but well, I grew up in a Jewish society of my own background, but I also grew up in a very Christian community and Christian background. So a lot of this I'm going to be covering. Um, so anyway, uh, just bear with me here. And um, basically what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through some books. Now I actually did create uh, a Facebook page that is for the group for my channel, and you'll see in the description you will actually see a link to it if you want to go on to that. I've also placed right now there's only the one book that I'm going to be covering today, but there's going to be some other files, so I will be sharing some files. Maybe we can actually get into sharing some like recipes and ideas in those files as well. Maybe my Rocketbook stuff, my own personal pages might get placed into those as well, so that if you're looking at some of my old videos that discuss a lot of things, some of those will be provided there. I think that's a great way to put it. So yeah, if you're interested in following me along on a lot of these books, or you just want a copy of them yourself, you can get them there. So hopefully that's going to be a great way for me to share all of this with you. There are some ideas that I've seen out there that just want to have a discussion about them. And this even opens the door a little bit so I can actually bring in some news stories maybe that we can talk about. My Canadian background is also very relevant here, so I probably will be bringing that up. Maybe some news stories that are Canadian based will be something I can look at too. So, okay, so here's what we can do. So what I'm going to do is bring up the, so I don't know, probably should hold off for a couple minutes while people sort of start coming into my chat a little bit. So if you're joining me, please let me know who you are and where you're from and what your background is, perhaps. I welcome anybody who is perhaps a scholar in these areas to join me and discuss. And hopefully, that's always been where I wanted to go with it is, meet up with some of the people who could be interested in what I'm bringing up here. Maybe there's some more that you can talk to me about a little bit, what your interest is actually, and you know, uh, where I don't know something, maybe you can actually let us know what I'm bringing up here that could be differently thought of. Anyway, um, so hopefully, also while we're at it, at any time, of course, if you want to leave a comment. But after the live is done, of course, if you want to leave a comment below on your feelings and your take on this, this is sort of a little bit of a switch into some areas that I had planned to do with this channel. That it's still all about the alternative. This is alternative about lifestyle, and that was my biggest one of my big things that I wanted to do with this channel. So without too much more to say on that, I actually was going to start this up somewhere else, and I thought, you know what, I why not just do it here, because I've mentioned it to others that I wanted to do this, and it doesn't seem as far away from my actual, it's what I am. It's all about the alternative, right? So yeah, so I actually got a lot of these books, and there are a lot. And even once we get into the theology and into religions and cultures, and that there are a very extensive amount of them. And so I'm going to be bringing all of that up every now and then, so we can actually, refer to them. Some of them have scriptures that are a part of what I'm going to be bringing in. So I'm going to just do it step by step, one at a time, and that'll make it all. Um, we'll see how it goes. Um, and sometimes we'll just do a discussion, and we don't have to even talk about one of the books. We can go back and forth with it. But I think that's a great way to just bring this about. I've also looked at just some things that has been said, and um, just so we can talk about them. Anyway, I think I've said that already before. So if you're catching it on the replay, I mean, I apologize. I'm repeating a lot of things because we're getting started here and doing all of this. And like I said, you can get the group page from the description below, and that will you'll be able to get access to everything that I'm going to be mentioning. And from here on in, anything I do with my channel, if I have files that I'm talking about or recipes and that, they're all going to be in that Facebook uh, group page. Okay, so you can contact me there. You can, um, let me know what your interests are and everything there. If there's something you'd like to see me bring up here in a topic, there's another place that you can actually contact me there. You can still contact me through my email. However, as a caution, of course, like I said in many of my other videos, if you're contacting me about doing a product or something, I will not get back to you because I've already been hacked and I don't need that. There's videos on that, so let's get on with this. Um, so it was really not where I was going with that. I just wanted to bring that up because we got to sort of explain where I'm at with this. And so anyway, so it's going to be that way here. Okay, so the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to share my screen for where the book of what the book says, and read through it a little bit. And although it is a course, okay, so most of these are all based from courses, I'm just going to sort of take what they are, and so I'm going to rearrange some of what's being said to actually be more relevant to what this is supposed to be about, the discussions about this channel, right? So I'm going to do that. I looked into how I could do this best, and it took me a while to actually assemble how I really wanted this. So that's why we're here at this point working on this. So let's see if I can share my screen. And so is that? Oh, wrong one. Okay. So um, don't know if it's going to allow me to share it there. Let's do this. Sorry, bear with me here. I did not realize that it was not going to share in the same screen. Ah, there we go. Okay, sorry about this. I just had to figure out why it wasn't sharing my screen. Okay, I think we got it now. Okay, so this first book here is Behavioral Sciences. It's a course on it I'm going to use, and we have that. Let's see if that works. Okay, so I don't know how to get this off of here, so you'll have to bear with me here because I'm not sure why that's not working. Okay, sorry about this, guys. Sometimes this is a and I don't know how to remove that. Doesn't seem to want to let me remove it. So we're going to have to deal with it as is. Okay. Okay, the power of doing this live. So like I said, I don't know why it's not showing up on the full screen though. So but if you're following along on the book, you'd have this anyway. Okay, so it's behavioral sciences, and it's actually listed here as a course number of HS 102 is what I got this from a course book information session. So it's unit introduction to behavioral sciences. And it's what is behavioral science. Behavioral science is a systematic, controlled, empirical, and critical investigation of behavior of the organism through controlled and naturalistic experimental observation and rigorous formulations. It encompasses the activities of and interactions among organisms in the natural world. How behavioral science is different from layman's understanding of behavior. One, behavioral scientists attempt to study the behavior on the basis of systematic, rationale, demonstrable cause-effect relationship. They involve scientific methods of inquiry. The findings can be replicable. The data collection is objective. Research is cumulative. The aim of behavioral scientists is to understand and predict human behavior. Okay, and the core of this is going to be disciplines of behavioral sciences, psychology, sociology, and anthropology. Now, the original one I had, of course, I have another one, but this one was good. We also gave in the obviously takes into the effect of the idea of sociologies, has sociology, but has theologies and things like that, and just government things, a lot of things like that. So I incorporated all of that back into this portion of what I'm doing. So hopefully that will make more sense as we go along. So the core disciplines of behavioral science is psychology, sociology, anthropology. One, psychology, the scientific study of the human mind and its functions, especially those affecting behavior and in a given context. It is the study of behavior on the basis of rationale, demonstrable cause-effect relationship. But my bigger one that I wanted to actually cover in this whole case before I even got to this behavioral studies part of it was actually the sociology. That was my most widest part of it. So the psychology I will be covering, but we're going to actually do this in a different order than what it looks like here because um, sociology is actually where my frame is really going to look like here. But sociology is the scientific study of social life, group patterns, social change, and the social causes and consequences of human behavior. And the anthropology side, we will look at probably on the later end of this more than anything else. But I may be going back and forth in several areas, so that's where this is going to come in relevant. The anthropology is the scientific study of origin, evolution, and development of human beings and their interaction with natural, social, and cultural environment. So having a look back on each of those parts, it's going to be interwoven into everything. And so that's why I just chose this as the opener for everything. A classification of subject matter of anthropology. It's psychological anthro, similar to bioscience. B, sociocultural anthro, similar to sociology. And C, archaeology, studies human cultures through the recovery, documentation, analysis, and interpretation of material remains in environmental data like the architecture, artifacts, biofacts, landscapes, etc. So it's going to be like a lot of stuff I've done with a lot of other things. I've talked about the history of things, so that will be relevant here in going in through all of that. I'm not only going to cover this methods used because it's really not where that's really, we're not really doing that. But some of this actually will be relevant because we're just going to have discussions about these things. And that's where my plan is. That's where my hope is that we're going to have discussions about this. So as you see my live coming up, you can hopefully join in with me for these lives and actually, have discussion on each section of these areas. And like I said, if you are a scholar, please join us. I would love to have you, explain something that perhaps I'm not able to. Those are all things that we're going to look at everything when it comes to the cultural and some relationship parts. There's going to be, of course, the gender studies going to be coming into the fact of that. There's also going to be, the relationship part of it also entails marriage, and different cultures look at marriage, and also about how to become an officiant if you wanted to take that route with a course like this. Of course, this is not I'm not grading anything, I'm not doing it. We're just going to cover what these courses entail so we understand it. When it comes to all the theology and the religious, when the culture parts of it, my intention with that is actually, there's lots of people who do Bible study, lots of people who do information about, about what happens in different scriptures and stuff like that. And while my intention is probably to read through some of the, like going through the Bible, which is actually the Torah is very much intertwined in each other. Looking at Hinduism, looking at Scientology. I have a copy of Dianetics. When the opportunity arises, I will, show some of the other things that I have talked about them in other times. Look at different ways that cultures see all of that stuff. So I'd like to actually bring all of that in. So this was my introduction to it today, and that was my intention of this. But so these 2 pages here basically talk about experimental design on all of this. It's basically I've taken this in a different route with it because obviously I'm not doing a course. So this is basically looking at taking a control of a control group and saying, well, here's the information that's out there, and how do we talk about it, and stuff like that. So I think that's where we're just going to use this information. So that's my plan. And observation. Well, of course, we're going to look at just observing maybe a thing in the news that's relevant to that topic. and going there with it. I'd like to do that. So that's that will be our observation method. That's our research, is going to be looking at these areas and then bringing a topic into it of what's, what can you use it for and how can it be used. But of course, like I said, there's lots of, a lot of people know that I'm very aware of people who took things on here that God told them to do what they're doing on the internet. And, to start a channel because God told them so. um, well, that's all well and good, I guess. But God didn't tell you to start a channel. You decided to have a channel. That's what you decided to do. I don't know if that person will ever see this, but that's my message to them is, if you have a channel, you decided to have a channel and you're bringing up, spiritual information and stuff like that and whatever. That's great. But be wary of who your audience is. Your audience may not all be the same background that you're talking to, and especially if you're offering advice on something, be wary that not everybody is going to be in that same mind frame. That's just that's how I look at it. Not everyone's going to see the same thing. I am taking this from my background of what my actual background being Jewish is fine, but I'm taking this from a alternative aspect. I've always looked at all of I'm interested in all of the backgrounds, all of what it is, and framing that mind. So when we get to when we get to theology, we're going to actually look at what some of these pastors, rabbis, when they go to seminary, they go through theology and they learn. And this is the one I have as an introduction to theology, but it branches out into all the other areas. So we're going to cover all of that. So that's what I'm planning on doing with this. So that's why I had to kind of make my discussion of this a little bit different than what's actually being said in this book. But this is where I'm jumping from. This is where my idea is coming from. So in-depth examination is our discussions, and that's what I'm planning on using that for. So that's why this is good. There's a page here about questionnaire method. This is just us discussing. We can question each other. I'm open to that. Just be friendly. Whoever is coming in and talking about whatever they'd like to talk about, be friendly to each other. Hopefully you can, open right in discussion about things. And if you want it to be informative, if you have a way to explain something about what I'm talking about, go right ahead and do that. Just don't use any profanity. Don't use anything that would be, against YouTube's rules. And I will, we'll try to work together and learn. And that was the whole intention of this, is to learn a little bit about what we, that's all it is learning about different things around the world even. So I'm not just going to cover Canada. I think there's stuff in the States we can talk about. There's stuff in Europe. I know I have a UK audience, so we'll get some stuff going for that. Maybe have some other different areas, not just, our cultures here in North America have different views than the ones that are actually in European areas or Asian areas or wherever else. Everybody's got a little bit of a different view somewhere. So I want to bring all of that in. So that's why this is our introduction to all of these social studies. Once we get into the other books, I'll probably try to stay on topic with the books. I knew this one here was going to be a little bit different. So that's why the last 2 pages is probably not even relevant. So I'm not even going to touch that so much. But I mean, if somebody did want to download this thing and wanted to use it, all these books will be made available as I'm going through them. And of course, the next one that will be coming up will be Introduction to Humanities. So that will be my next one that I'll be doing. And then we'll move into the theology after that. And that's my plan here. theology and philosophy, and then I'll move into psychology, and then we'll be going into culture and religion. Then we'll do the relationships, and then we'll look at a little bit about government, history of government, history around the world, and then we'll look at philanthropy. I have a section here that I don't know if we're going to, how much I'm going to cover of it, but it's actually called Dreams and Visions, and sort of is a little bit of a tie-in to some of that on how it can be used as well. So that's my plan. I'm going to do that. I will schedule, or some of this I'm going to have to just do as I have a chance to do it. I don't necessarily say this is going to be the day I'm going to do it necessarily. If it comes a day that actually seems better for everyone to join me on it, but this was the easiest way that I could actually do most of these things. So that is the beginning part of that. So I'm just going to write it down. Okay. But I knew that one was really short. And I knew that was actually the shortest part of the whole thing, was going through that behavioral science part of it. Just as an open start of what this is all about. So we'll cover the humanities book as well, and then we'll go from there. And as we're covering each section, there's lots of different things that have been mentioned. Hopefully you can give me a like and a subscribe, and put any comments down below as you're watching on the replay, and hopefully this is of interest to someone out there. If I know it's sort of a pivot for my channel, but this is all it is basically under the same idea, the same way I wanted to go about, and this will actually introduce a few of the things I wanted to do, which is about lifestyles. So we're going to cover that slowly. So here we go. Welcome to the new side of what I'm going to be doing is this behavioral sciences. Have a great day, everybody, and I will see you soon.